Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous.
Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast. I am your host, Adam Tuft, joined by co-host
John Castoris.
What is up, boys? And by boys, I mean men.
It's freaking good to be here, man. Today I was driving in the car, Adam, and I sent you a message, which we're going to kind of tap back into that today. Yeah. But man, I was just getting jazzed, and I'm excited to just be able to lay down some bars today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, we're going to get freaking jacked today. So boys, we're going to, me and John are going to have some interesting stuff coming down the pipeline in the next couple of months, kind of different ways that we're doing our podcasts. But today, me and John are just going to be, spitting some bars, kind of saying some stuff from the chest, because there's stuff we need to get off our chest about what's going on in society and what needs to be fixed. And it really comes to what this podcast is all about, which is masculinity and being a dangerous man. And kind of our culture today has so many weird and backwards ways of talking about masculinity. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest kind of weird, colloquial, things that people say in society right now is toxic masculinity, which toxic masculinity is a phrase made up by communists because communists don't want men to be strong so they can take over society faster.
Damn straight.
So we're going to fucking talk about what it actually fucking means to be a man and what masculinity is today.
I just want to say, we've talked a lot about skill stacking on the show, a lot about how to level up as a man and your personal excellence and growth journey. All so important. Also, just how to give value to people and how to contribute to other people's lives and serve. Yes, all so core to being a man, but there's a piece that we really haven't gotten into. And the reason is it's kind of aggressive. It's kind of uncharted waters in a way, and people are kind of afraid to talk about it because it's
a little bit more raw.
Yeah, or what's the word? Dangerous.
Oh, it's the podcast title.
Oh, dude, people get uncomfortable with that shit because it's real, man, and they're like, "Oh, I want you to be this little dude." Here's the moral of the story: when you're a boy, they did this study, man. They took boys, and they gave them fucking doll houses, and they're like, "We're gonna make them be like a woman." And they're like, their big thing was, I don't want them to have guns or weapons, and I'm gonna prove that if I give them feminine toys, they're gonna grow up feminine. And dude, guess what happened?
What?
The dudes got literally using the dolls and fighting and going and creating armies and shit. And
I was about to say, did they burn the houses? And
I'm sure they were,
stuff?
Man.
Oh yeah, they definitely did. Because for every boy, if you pick up a stick, it's a gun or a sword.
It is. Yeah. And no matter what you do, you literally will put a boy outside and he'll use sticks as swords. And it's anyways, and people get really, really uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about it.
And the thing is, there's some people that are like, oh, I know somebody who when he was a boy, he didn't pick up a stick and call it a sword or call it a gun. I have one question for you. Was he raised by a single mother?
Ooh.
Because most of the time when I run into random people like that are like, you're a little bit more feminine and probably gay, and some of these other things, a lot of the time they end up being raised by a single mother, which means they did not have a man in the house to show them how to be masculine. People don't like that I'm saying this right now, probably, but it's something that I've observed from people that it's like, oh, as a man, you're a little bit more feminine. And by and I'm not just saying you sew sometimes. I'm saying you, some of these guys that I've ran into are they're very effeminate.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh, kind of a,
and they also,
I don't even want to do that again.
Also, if they say they're gay, I'm never surprised. So oh my gosh, when these So, but also it's just something that I've noticed of the correlation between effeminate men and being raised by a single mother, because they don't have a dad, a father to show them. I mean, of course they have a dad. They obviously had to be
right.
The birds and the bees had to happen somehow, but
science is still science.
Yeah, science is still science. There's not 61 genders. Anyway.
Okay. Getting shadow banned on that one. Shit, dude.
Yeah, we're now banned off of at least Facebook.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Well,
we'll just Mark Zuckerberg.
We'll just go on Twitter, So thank you, Elon Musk, for the freedom of speech.
Yeah. We mean X.
Right, Twitter. Oh my gosh,
Twitter, formerly X, formerly known as whatever. Twitter. I don't like. Branding's a little weird. Anyway,
masculine energy. Mm-hmm. There's this. We're not going to really go into toxic masculinity. Okay, we're just we want
because it's a made up term by communists.
It is a made up term, and here's the reality though, that there are two. And this might be, get your notebooks out. This might be new, especially if you grew up in the public school system. There are two types.
Because the public school system is ran by communists?
And feminists.
Yep, anyway.
Same thing. Anyways, there are two types of energy, of sexual energy. There are two types that a man and a woman, interesting. You have your masculine energy and your feminine energy, okay? And every human is probably going to experience being a little bit in their masculine, a little bit in their feminine. I'm not going to really dive too deep into why that is or what happens, but we're going to keep moving along here. Mm-hmm. Here's the bottom line. When a man is not in his masculine essence, his masculine energy, living in his masculine purpose, he's not polarizing enough. And so you lose the polarity of sexual attraction with women. You also lose the respect of other men. And it also leads to a lot of confusion. And so the kind of the easiest way that I like to talk about, masculine energy, like what is masculine energy? What is feminine energy? And I mean, we're going to probably spend a lot of time on this podcast, future episodes, really trying to define this. Mm-hmm. But today I just wanted to talk
really
about
dialing it in.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to be able to do it justice in these 20 minutes, but
because masculinity is something that goes very deep.
Yeah.
In more ways than one, if you know what I'm saying.
Ooh, okay. You're not too far from the truth though. Like, we learn a lot. This is not going to be a biology lesson, but there's a lot of there's a lot to learn about masculine energy when you study biology. I'm just gonna say that. So, anyways, so there's this idea of I learned this from a psychologist that came to a year-long program. I lived in a house and I worked with the homeless downtown, and we had this psychologist that came and did a lesson to us on boundaries. And, that's a whole thing I'm not going to get into. But they gave this lesson of, hey, there's basically like, this is how you want to live. You don't want to be, a lot of people are a thermometer. Mm-hmm. Okay? So imagine a thermometer. It's hot. It's 100 degrees outside and the thermometer says 100. It's 72 degrees outside. When
it's cold, the thermometer becomes cold. When it's hot, the thermometer becomes hot.
Thank you. Always able to simplify for me, my man. And so that's a thermometer. And that's a pretty good representation of feminine energy. And I know I might get a lot of hate for this, but
that's okay. We're being dangerous today because we got to get some stuff off our chest.
This is the what did you call it again?
We're getting stuff off our chest today.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what he said.
Say it with your chest.
All right.
Just flux the
But the women, feminine energy wants to receive. And if you, again, go back to biology, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And the masculine energy breaks through barriers and it penetrates and it's movement and it's purpose oriented and it sets the tone. Like men set the fucking tone. And what we find in our society is men are confused because they don't know how to be men. They don't know what masculine essence is. And they fall so much into this, like I'm undecisive and I don't know what I'm doing. And like, I guess I could do this. And like, and they lose their decisiveness. They lose their purpose. They lose their fucking edge. And the best example of what it means, I think, to be in the masculine energy is that the men are not the thermometer. They don't rise and fall. Their emotions don't go up and down. And like, think about it. External situations happening, oh, like the money, this happens with money and finance, and this happens in your relationship emotionally, and, this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And, oh, it's not, the weather is not favorable today. And that's the person that is a thermostat. The man that is not in his masculine energy is going to go up and down. His emotions are going to go up and down. His mood is going to go up and down with everything going on around him. But the masculine man in his masculine energy is going to be like a thermostat. He sets the fucking tone. He says, this is the temperature, and it doesn't matter what happens around me. I am me, and I do my thing, and I don't answer to anybody.
If there's an outside force that cools me down, I'm going to warm back up. And if there's something, an outside force that heats me up, I'm going to cool myself back down.
Exactly. That's, and so it's, you find that not enough men have that purpose, that drive, that decisiveness, like, oh, like they'll just make excuses and go, oh, because it's a cloudy day, like I'm not going to be able to get this done. And it's like, dude, stop being a pussy and like break through the fucking barrier and rise above that. Because my perfect example was people were like, oh, you want to like get dinner on this day? And it's like a man that knows his purpose and his goals, he's going to look at his schedule and he's going to go, is this in line with my values? Mm-hmm. Is this in line with my purpose? It's like, well, actually, I need to use Tuesday night to work on my goals. And I have this time to get together and work and get things done. And I have like these goals in my business. And this is the time I've carved out in my schedule to go and do that. Adam and I get together on Tuesdays and we podcast. That's a thing we've carved out. It's like, no one's going to shake me from doing a podcast on a Tuesday night. And that's just like, the reality is too many people are going to encounter somebody and they're going to go, oh, you want to go bowling on Tuesday? And they're going to go, oh, that sounds fun. Or like, oh, I could use a break or whatever. Oh, like I can reschedule. Sure, let's do it. And here's what you'll find. Oh, what's wrong with that, John? Like people change plans all the time, or something comes up and sounds like a good idea and they want to have fun. What's wrong with a little bit of fun? And I'll tell you what's wrong with it is it has nothing to do with whether it's fun or not. It has everything to do with you broke off your course. Mm-hmm. If somebody comes to you and sways you from you and your purpose and your direction, if you made a commitment to yourself that you do Tuesdays and you go and work on your business and your side hustle, and somebody comes and sways you off of that, guess what? You're not in your masculine energy. You're getting thrown off. And people they think it's going to be fun to do something with you on a Tuesday, but then they're not going to respect you later because you aren't even living you.
Now, there is obviously situations where you can still be in masculine energy and also change or like pivot what you're doing. If you realize, oh, I was planning on doing this thing, but this thing is actually more towards the mission, more towards what I'm trying to do and more towards who I am.
Yeah. That's
actually you realizing, oh, this is actually more of what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you pivot towards that instead of pivoting away from it.
Right. Right. So like we can course correct, right?
Yeah. Totally. So it's not like, oh, you changed your mind on something, therefore you're not a man. It's like, well, that's not how that works.
Yeah, right.
It's more like, oh, are you actually following up on what you said you were going to do?
Yeah, exactly. It's people wonder, why do I wake up depressed the next day? Well, it's like, you're not staying true to your word,
I do kind of wonder, is like anytime a man is depressed, is the majority of the reason why he's depressed is just because he's not fulfilling what he knows he should be doing.
100%.
I think about my life and when the times where I've felt sad and when I've felt down, when I've felt quote unquote depressed, because I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't freaking know how to define that shit. I probably could have gotten diagnosed with it or something, but also it's like, oh, you feel sad? Here's some antidepressants. Feel better? Where it's like, actually, no, I just need to fucking go fulfill my purpose and figure my shit out and actually do it and not just be on freaking drugs.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I'm a little salty about that because I was on anti-anxiety medications while I was in like junior high and high school. And it's like, and then I had to figure out how to deal with anxiety. So I have a little bit of a, I'm a little biased.
Oh my gosh.
little pissed off. if you will.
Yeah, man. So, dude, yeah, this is good. This is good being able to talk about, what is masculine energy and I think just let's bring it back to a few key points here. Masculinity, I'll say masculine energy. It's decisive.
Mhm.
It's confident. It breaks through barriers. It moves through forces. It has strength and courage, not, questioning or worry or doubt or,
Mhm.
it's not like all over the place. It's steady. It's centered. When you're around a man in his masculine energy, you feel calm
Mhm.
because he's calm. You start freaking out about something in your life and he does not freak out. He's calm. He's
Mhm.
logical and he's able to cheer you up and help encourage you because he's rooted in the truth. And he does not get worried when things around him start getting out of control or chaotic because he's centered. And I think there's a huge, huge lesson to take from that. And I'd encourage you to listen to guys like Ed Milet or Andy Frisella, guys that are a bit edgy, but also some tenderness to them. But they're very unswayed by things and they very much keep to who they are. And, we live in a society where you go to college to just quote unquote discover yourself.
Find yourself in your sociology degree that doesn't do anything and is not valuable in the market at all.
My birth certificate said I was a man, but after going to college, I realized I had 61 options and I feel so free to find myself in a new reality.
What the hell?
Fuck that shit, dude. Like, come on, man.
Like,
but it's not about this, like, oh, I gotta find what I'm trying to say here is I'm not trying to overcomplicate this, but like when you really know who you are as a man, you are able to absorb all of this strength. And when you're not in your masculine energy and you're undecisive and you're all over the place and there's, something to say about the feminine energy and all of those things that can be really good for a woman.
Yeah.
But for a man, a lot of your depression, a lot of your confusion, and a lot of your lack of results in your life are because you're slipping into all that feminine energy. And guess what? You're not a woman. You're a man. You're not meant to be in that feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's fucking you over.
Yeah.
And so, take a hint here, man. Men, this is, there's a great opportunity to be the thermostat, not the thermometer.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of guys out there who just don't actually know what it means to be a man. They've never been showed it and then they've never been taught it. And I think there's starting for me of like
true.
Figuring out what it actually means to be a man or there was 2 books. There was why am I blanking
Hard Times?
Why am I blanking on it was
Eldridge.
Yeah, by John Eldridge, Wild at Heart and Fathered by God. They're Christian books. I'll give you that. But he takes back like, okay, what it actually means to be a man. And I think in some ways in church land, they've kind of like bastardized what it means to be a man because in Christianity, I mean, obviously the man that they point to as being masculine is Jesus. And I love Jesus, but I don't really love the soft Jesus, petting the lamb and being like, I missed all the lambs and we go partying and frolicking in the fields and smelling the flowers. And that's super feminine. I like the Jesus that tells that makes a whip and flips some freaking tables and tells the Pharisees that they're a bunch of snakes and like
straight up, dude.
And challenges people on what they believe and carries a freaking giant piece of wood up a mountain while he's bleeding to death because someone scourged the shit out of him. Like
somehow he didn't die
and
he's still kicking.
Didn't die and keep going because he freaking loves people and because he wants to actually like show them how much he loves them by doing that much for them and like actually fulfilling his fucking mission.
Yeah.
Lord, if that didn't make sense, forgive me, but like,
dude, I'm tracking, man.
It's
That's badass.
Like the thing is like a lot of people are like, oh, like Jesus is the good shepherd. He pets the lamb and smells the flesh. It's like, dude, shepherds had to freaking fight off lions and bears and shit from their like flocks. Yeah. Also, they had to be very firm with the sheep too, because if a sheep kept straying away, what a shepherd would do is break their legs.
Straight up.
Yeah. And then they'd put that lamb on their shoulders and then tie their legs together, and he'd feed the lamb and be with the lamb all of the time. So then that lamb would build a trusting bond with the shepherd and then not leave the shepherd by the time its legs got healed.
Wow.
That's what they mean by Jesus being the good shepherd, is that he doesn't let you just wander away.
Yeah. There's something strong and powerful about that, man. And
I blame the communists, but anyway.
Yeah. And it's and we'll probably wrap on this idea, but you know, we've been giving a very false picture of what masculinity is. And you just put the nail on the head there. Like for those not in kind of church land, if you will, we're really battling uphill. I think a lot of those kind of personas for sure. The good thing is there is a lot of great depictions of who Jesus is as a strong man, and it's not usually always talked about, but it's definitely in there, as you said. But what we find is when a man is in his masculine energy, is in his essence, living his purpose, he will attract feminine women to him.
Yes.
And when they will, they'll put him through the ringer, man. Like they'll ask him different things and, oh, should we go here or there? And then he's like, oh, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. What do you want to do? And then guess what? 30 seconds later, they not interested in him anymore. Because they're like, hey, when I ask where you want to go for dinner, like they're looking for him to take the lead and be a man and be decisive and make a decision. And they find that attractive, And a woman just wants to be in her femininity. She wants to just be able to relax and have that joy and just, radiate the love and overflow the love. And she doesn't want to have to worry about details and things to do. And, and so when the man isn't stepping into that, it brings a lot of, the woman often has to step into masculine energy and take the lead and be the breadwinner in the house. And, Hard Times Create Strong Men talks about that, where he's like, his mom literally left his dad because she had literally become the breadwinner because he had worked with his quote unquote business for like 12 years and never made the same amount every year. Yeah. And he was just being a total pussy.
He was playing entrepreneur as he would say. Where it's like, oh, I'm so cool because I have a business, even though it doesn't really make much money. It's not growing and not going anywhere with it because I'm being lazy as shit.
Yeah. And his wife completely lost attraction and ditched him.
Yeah.
And that's a really sad story. It's a really sad story. But the reality is he had no idea what it meant to be a man. He had no idea what masculine energy was, or that he was supposed to be that polarizing to create that polarity, that sexual polarity. He didn't know how that worked, and it lost him a great marriage. It lost him his dreams. It lost him his purpose. And when a woman sees a man not in that, she'll ditch him. Or if he's not living to the fullest capacity he could be, and they get a sense of that, of weakness, they're out. They're looking for the strongest man in the tribe.
Yeah.
And I just think that's,
they don't necessarily leave immediately, but they're kind of like, they might start looking for an exit kind of thing.
We're looking for some other options that will be more masculine, Yeah. And so what can we do about this? Well, a lot of things. I'm curious your thoughts, Adam, but I think one thing you can for sure do is continue listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Because the bars that we lay down a lot of practicals and just different lessons on mindset. And we're going to continue to talk about masculine energy and what you can do to learn how to recognize what that looks like. Because you've definitely seen examples of masculine energy. You might just not be able to identify it. And you might not know exactly what choices to make to be able to step into that. But as you continue listening to us and walking with us, we're going to be able to, paint that. One book and resource you can get into right now is called Hard Times Create Strong Men by Stefan Arnio. If you're a man and you're listening to this podcast and you've not read that book yet, you are seriously missing your potential.
We recommend the audio version.
Yeah, don't read it. It's a little.
Yeah, there's some graphic pictures in it that aren't the greatest, but the content is good for understanding masculinity.
Get on Audible.
Also, just Stefan Arnio also reads it pretty well, so I highly recommend the audio. But as a man listening to this podcast, you might be thinking, "Oh man, I don't think I'm quite there yet." You might be thinking that. You might be like, "Oh man, I'm not masculine in all the ways I need to be. I'm not, changing, going after my mission." I actually don't even like saying that right now because that's almost like some weird negative self-talk. Yeah, I'm not speaking that over myself. But if you're a man with those negative thoughts of thinking that you're not as masculine as you need to be, it's okay to have those thoughts. What's not okay is to leave yourself there and just let yourself be not masculine. But you can be more masculine from this moment forward by committing to it, by telling yourself to be more masculine, by listening to this podcast, by finding those men in your life who are masculine, who want to be more masculine, and actually finding your purpose and chasing your purpose and being about what you're about. And don't worry about being nice. No one gives a shit about nice people.
You don't need to people please anymore.
Yeah, no, John and I give you permission to be masculine. You don't need to people please. You do need to be good, because to be truly masculine means you're doing good and building things and making other people's lives better. Because if you're tearing everything down, you're just being a bitch.
And a dick.
Yeah. You need to be, you might need to be a little bit of a dick, but not all a dick. Yes. Every man has a dick, but it's not all of you.
Exactly.
So anyway, with that,
share the show if you want to help other men embrace danger and become truly great. You've been listening to The Dangerous Man. Join us next time. Until then,
claim your greatness
and stay dangerous.